Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new Minecraft 100 Days video. As I'm sure you could tell from the title and the thumbnail, we will be spending these 100 days on one chunk. This one chunk was kind of special though. You see that giant bedrock encasing? There were secrets, dungeons, and stuff like that in that encasing. But anyway, we quickly loaded in for the start of day 1. I know the day counter said day 2. It was actually glitched and I wasn't sure how to fix it. I did try like resetting the world a couple times and nothing was working. So for this 100 days, we'll just go to day 101 instead of just day 100 in order to actually make this a true 100 days. So I started out here with just a couple wooden tools and I had to explore this actual chunk to be able to find stone. So I made a little staircase down to this area which had a bunch of torches already placed. I didn't place those, they just came like that, and then it had a water source down there, like a little lake. So I made a staircase down to that. There was sugarcane, there was a lot of grass for seeds, which we would definitely need in the near future. I explored what I had access to a little bit more, but there wasn't anything super interesting yet. I found some iron right here in front of me, but I'll come back to that in 1 second. I checked over the edge here to see if there was anything interesting, but it was just the void and then bedrock. So I placed my crafting table and made my first stone tool. Then I mined that iron we found. Then I gathered some wood for sticks. I chopped down my other tree on the island. We literally only had 2 trees on this island, so I did have to be like really careful about cutting them down and getting all the saplings. The only issue was the one sapling I really wanted was the oak sapling and not the birch sapling, and it took me like 3 to 4 trees to actually get more than 1 sapling per tree. It was really annoying. With 2 of the 4 iron we got, we smelted it, we made some shears, cut our wool off our sheep so that we could make a bed and skip through the nights, because that's going to make this a bit faster and I don't got to worry about monsters or anything. It win-win. On day 3, I finally made a chest. I knew I was going to die very soon, so I wanted to get everything important out of my inventory ASAP, especially that iron, because I didn't know I would get more anytime soon. So every time I would go by that lake that you saw earlier, I heard these monster noises and I knew there must have been like a dungeon or something beneath me, and I tried to find it for a little while here and I couldn't find it quite yet. I took a break from that for a minute and I just wanted to show you guys how I was resetting my hunger when I got like even a little bit low. I was just jumping off the edge here. I couldn't kill my animals yet, so I finally just went back to trying to find this dungeon, and I just straight up dug straight down and I found like this giant bedrock enclosure, and then below me was like spawners, and it was pretty wild. But of course, you know, whoever made this map decided to make this whole entire encasing out of wood, and the one tool I didn't have was an axe, so I had to dig with my hands. There were honestly so many monsters down there and I was way underprepared. I did see a chest in the middle and I was pretty determined to go and get that. There could have been iron in there and I really needed that iron. And then, by the way, guys, this whole time I'm like digging and stuff, I am trying to like keep this looking kind of like natural. I'm doing like terraforming as I go, as I dig, just to, you know, I don't want to ruin this whole island right away. But like I said earlier, guys, I really needed that iron, so I decided just to YOLO it and test my chances just going right in. I actually did kind of well for like a second here, but then it went south pretty quick. There were honestly just way too many monsters down here and I just died like that. Oh well, I mean, it wasn't a huge deal. I woke up on day 4 and then I went right to get my stuff back, so that's exactly what I did here. The monsters had mostly cleared out. I even tried to go down this staircase a little bit, which I don't know if this was the greatest idea. I didn't even check what was in the chest yet. There were harder monsters down there, so I took a break and I just got what was in the chest. There was 8 diamonds and 6 iron bars. That was super useful. Then I decided to go back down there for a minute with all the stuff in my inventory. I don't know what I was doing, man. And yeah, while I was up here and there was no monsters mobbing me, I looked over the edge. I saw that enderman and more crossbow guys, and I didn't have any torches, which was a huge mistake. I should have been able to light up this entire area. It would have saved me a lot of trouble in the future, but but it is what it is. I did finally make the smart decision for once and just go back up without dying again and stashing all my stuff. I also made a bow because I got like 32 arrows from that chest, and I wanted to use them on the monsters down there. I also actually made an axe too. I went back down and there was actually a crossbow guy spawner, which was pretty crazy. I didn't think there would be one of those down here, but I just came like guns a-blazing and didn't see too much yet. I did try really hard to fight these guys, but every time I peeked them, they were able to shoot me before I was able to shoot them. And so, of course, they were able to kill me again because I still didn't have armor, and these dudes were definitely a lot harder to fight than skeletons, which I did just found that out now. So I went back and got all my stuff, obviously, and now look at this mess of mobs. I was so done with this phase. I wanted a break from coming back down here, I think. After dying 3 more times, I just stashed all my stuff and just you know, decided I needed to make a little bit more progress above ground before trying to battle those guys. I decided to actually start making a real base here, and I worked on making my wheat farm first thing. I even made a little infinite water source above ground so I wouldn't have to go to that stupid lake beneath me every time. But anyway, whenever I do a decent bit of building, I like to time lapse it because it looks awesome. You guys can see here, this was my general idea for the start of our farm. Anyway, it was day 6 now, and I kind of ran out of materials to build with, so I was sort of forced to just like find something else to do, and I went back into this dungeon even though I was still very unprepared. Instead of actually fighting anything though, I just dug up the ceiling by one so it wasn't so claustrophobic. I went back upstairs after that, and then I actually found carrots in my chest, which meant we'd have a good source of food because carrots grow really quickly. And I got really upset at this wandering trader for making noise, so I punched him off the edge and he went bye-bye. It's like the bye-bye hole in Game of Thrones in the in that one castle. I forget the name of it exactly, god damn it. I also tried to use this goat horn that I got from that chest too, but something tells me you need a goat present for it to work, and my cows and sheep were not reacting properly, so I put it back. Then it was actually day 7 now, and I was expanding the ceiling. Then I had the genius idea to just like straight up jump down because I was just so curious what was at the bottom of this like tower. So then I went for it, and big surprise, I got shot off. And I ran around for a minute. I tried to like dig a hole down to like save myself, but then literally the worst thing, a baby zombie came in and just whacked me. So now there was a baby zombie guarding all my stuff and a drop down that I couldn't do. And it didn't occur to me to get like a bucket of water yet and place it. So yeah, you know, luckily I really didn't have anything too good on my body besides like my torches. I did kind of need those. And every attempt I did to try to get my stuff back, it didn't really go well. I did finally get a water bucket and use some water to try to get down there, but honestly there was just too many monsters, and I was kind of wasting my time at this point, so I gave up. I actually forgot about this. I did go down there one last time and I found something interesting. I found a couple of villagers, some chickens, and some vexes, which was cool, and a random sheep. Anyway, after that I finally had some luck with these oak trees. This was the biggest tree I've ever seen in my life, and I would definitely get a lot of saplings from this. I was struggling before that. I completed my initial tree growing platform here. I could finally breed some of my animals here too because my wheat had finally grown. Things were finally looking up because this has been a pretty terrible 7 days so far, I'm not gonna lie. It was time just to chill out and build a little bit, so I extended my platform with the little amount of wood I had here. It was already day 8 now, and I kept running out of wood, so I took a break from that for a second and just lit up this area finally because I actually wanted to be able to see down here, and most importantly I didn't want baby zombies like that spawning on this platform. So yeah, this is also the moment I realized that I lost my bucket when I died down there in the dungeon. Really couldn't afford to lose those, man. I don't have any iron at all. It was gone. I had like 3 ingots. And I just kind of kept coming back down here, and I kept like working on the ceiling and stuff. I'm not sure why. I mean, probably because eventually I'll make it into like a really cool space. I'm not really sure what I'll make it into yet, but it'll come to me. So yeah, I worked on that for a little while longer. I even smelted some stone so I could match the blocks here, just temporarily. And then instead of cobblestone here, I replaced the bottom of this lake with dirt to match the rest of the nature around it. I came back up here and started working on like a little design for my tree farm on the floor, which by the way, this area looked awful from the bottom. I would we definitely have to do something about that soon, I think. And then we are going back in time a little bit. Well, while I was building this thing, I did almost die here. Like, that was close as hell, man. And I had my bucket on me, man. Imagine if I lost another one, dude. But anyway, when I build, man, the days go by super fast because of those time lapses. It was already the end of day 10. Started off day 11 with resetting my hunger. Pretty soon we would not have to do this anymore. I just needed a bit more of the carrots and we were golden. I also needed lava for like a million different things, like obsidian, maybe like a cobblestone generator, and there was still none that I found quite yet. We're definitely gonna have to explore the space below the dungeon a ton more. There's probably some down there. Before I went back down there though, I wanted to keep working on this tree platform. We did this for the rest of day 11 and literally most of day 12. I would sit there, wait for the trees to grow, cut them down, and then I would just add on to the platform accordingly, and I continued the design we already had started. I did almost die again during that time lapse too. I just went back in time here and I managed to save myself. There was enough water on here. I was chilling. Also, we're going back in time here again, but the sunset at the end of day 11 was sick. Anyway, day 12 ended and this was day 13 now, and we just finished up my platform really quick. The bottom of this thing still looked ugly as hell, by the way. A little bit better, but still pretty bad. And then at the end of day 13, I got another giant tree. I just thought I'd share my giant tree with you guys. It was day 14 now, and I finally decided to do a big caving trip and explore that dungeon a ton more. So since I didn't really have any coal, I just smelted the logs for charcoal to make a ton of torches. I wanted to lighten up everything. I also decided to put a chest down here so that we would have a spot to put away all my stuff before exploring some more. Also, we got lucky here, or I guess it might have been just all the water I placed, but there were absolutely no monsters when I went back down here, making it really, really easy to just light everything up so we could, actually explore this area instead of dying right away. But I would say the biggest difference now versus when we explored earlier and died a ton is we actually had food. We could recover health now, and that made it trillion times easier. There were also still these stupid guys at the very bottom, like next to where all the villagers and special mobs were, and they were kind of being annoying still. But I ended up killing the banner guy, and I got bad omen infinity. Like the timer was just infinity, so I don't think it ever goes away. Anyway, it was day 15 now, and I went back up to base to craft some extra tools and collect some carrots and stuff so that I would be prepared to go back down there in a minute. There was still like a ton more below the area with the villagers and stuff like that, and I wanted to go back down in the dungeon area and figure out what else was way down there. I know we do get to that soon here. I'm not sure if it was right now or a little later, but all right, we do actually end up just staircasing down here on right away on day 15. I went back up to base and slept. It was day 16 now, and this is what I woke up to. There were 3 creepers on my platform and all these stupid monsters because I completely forgot to light up this whole platform. It sucked. I tried my best to lead the creepers away from my platform, but they kind of just I don't know, it kind of worked, I guess. But there were still 2 more up here too, and I didn't, oh man, it was so stressful. But one blew up my chest and I was mad about that, and then I hit this other one off and it blew up like half of my fucking platform. I was so pissed, dude. I definitely wouldn't make the mistake of not lighting up an area of my base, and yet there was still an entire other creeper up here. And then of course this one blew another hole in my platform, which was awesome. I lost a block of dirt too, which is not good. I think it was just more of the disrespect that made me upset. I was able to repair the base pretty fast. After that, I definitely wanted to go back down here. I just went up to sleep, and then I found this little area with some iron, which was pretty great. I definitely needed as much iron as possible. There was also a bunch of coal down here too, but I'll be back for that in the future. I just kept on digging down for now, and I started hearing bats and monsters. I knew I was by something good. Instead of exploring more though, I decided I needed an iron pick, and then I also finally added ladders to make it more convenient to navigate this area. I was also out of food, so I did come up here and get some carrots. Also, it was day 17 now. I did sleep when I came up to the surface again. Also, while I was up here, all my trees were grown, so I cut them all down and I added a nice fence with torches on top of the fence posts around this entire platform. It looked pretty good. Now I finally was not worried about monsters spawning up here anymore. Then also, while I was at it, I expanded the cow farm. These poor guys finally had enough space to move around now. And then apparently I was on quite the building kick because I decided to go in and finally add a bit of detail to the tree platform instead of it just being a flat surface that you had no depth at all. I'm always pretty happy with how my designs end up looking, and this one was definitely no different. And then we're going back in time here for a second because I did die during that time lapse and I lost an iron axe. Not good at all. I was so mad. Then I legit made a diamond axe after I lost that iron one because I was just so frustrated with this. But anyway, let's fast forward to after the time lapse finished. It was already day 19 and I was out of storage on my first double chest, so I already needed to make a second one. Storage room coming soon. Then I finally made that iron pickaxe I told you I needed like 4 days ago. So that was something. I then went back to the dungeon area and found a chest that I had completely missed, and it was stacked as hell. I was very happy about this. I was also finally back where I heard those monster noises and dug right into a mine shaft. This was pretty awesome as well, honestly. There was another chest here too, man. I was in the gold mine, or diamond mine, I guess. I had 11 diamonds on me at this point. Anyway, I explored some more, and obviously this whole mine shaft was limited to one chunk, so there wasn't much, but this next chest was stacked as hell, as well as the other two that I just found. So plenty of ender pearls and that diamond chest plate, which had projectile protection and unbreaking on it, I think. Not bad. Also definitely needed lava still, and I didn't find any yet, which sucked. I needed it. The Nether was super important to eventually get to because the gold powered rails, I could make a rail system, all that good stuff. And then I came back up here and finally destroyed this stupid spawner because it kept spawning the guys with the crossbows, even though it was completely lit up around here. It didn't matter. They were still getting spawned. Couldn't have that. I did some research into making an iron farm because that's what I wanted to make next, and I needed to turn this area into a villager breeder. Anyway, right after that, I fell into this cage with these vexes, I think they're called, and I didn't want any to escape, but it was kind of impossible not to let them escape at this point. And I really needed to clear out this area for the villager breeder because this is where the villagers were, and so I let out these chickens, and I would just collect their eggs and eventually make like a little chicken farm, but yeah, they were free for now. So to create this villager breeder, I first started by completely clearing out this entire area. I did need a lot of space to be able to make this happen. Then also at one point during the time lapse, I did accidentally let all the vexes out of the cage. You know, it happens. I even fell in, and so the third one ended up getting out as well. It was not good. I actually did want to keep these guys in captivity and not let them escape, but now obviously it was too late, and I just needed to eventually seal off this whole area so they didn't fly up and into the void. I even did try trapping them here, and then that did not work, and I just gave up at this point. I was like, whatever, man. Like I said, I'll just have to seal off this entire space, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Anyway, it was already day 20 now. I came back up, and I needed to collect a ton of wood and actually some carrots too for this villager breeder. Obviously needed to detail the room that we just dug out, and man, that requires an insane amount of resources, so I would spend, you know, definitely a little while actually collecting all those resources, especially like logs and stuff, because I'm mainly building with wood at this point until I get to the Nether, which I want to incorporate black stone and quartz into a lot of this, which are great looking blocks in my opinion, especially when you combine the two. Maybe if we can get some spruce wood too, that would be great. I don't know if that's even in this world though. I did forget to press record on this next part, but I changed how the fences were because I was going to expand this tree farm. Farming these logs up was not going fast enough, so that means I just needed more places for the saplings to exist. I did actually spend like a few days expanding this thing. Building was going really slow because I couldn't just go to like a forest and chop down a ton of trees. I'd wait for the current trees to grow, chop them down, and add onto the platform. So this time lapse is actually going like super fast. And then I also even chopped down the nether portal a little bit because it was ugly. And then obviously for that I had to create my very first diamond pickaxe. And then I didn't even clear away all the obsidian blocks because this was taking way too long. And I actually needed to find my bucket or create a new one because to finish the tree platform, I needed to be able to get under the platform, and the only way to do that is by going down a stream of water. And I had absolutely no idea where my bucket went, so I was convinced I would need to create a new one. I did end up finding iron deep in the mines here. By the way, it was already day 23. Like I said earlier in the video, these days go by super fast when I'm building. I also found like a little cave area here. I would come back to it. I wasn't really in the mood for exploring right now. It was already the end of day 23 when I came up from the mine too. Like these days, like I said, man, going super fast. The start of day 24, I finally made my bucket, got some water, then I was finally able to place blocks under my platform like this so I could actually finish the entire thing. So now with the bucket, we were able to actually finish the platform. This is just a quick overview of what it looks like. We'll come back and add so much more detail. We are nowhere near done with this, but for now we are. So next thing I wanted to do was collect a ton of logs so we can actually work on this villager breeder. That's what this expansion was originally meant for, and then I got a little carried away working on the expansion, etc., etc. You know how it goes. So now was log collecting stage, and then we'd finally break ground on this villager breeder, man. It's it's been 4 days, but it is what it is. It was day 25 now, and while I was still collecting wood, I did end up adding like this little expansion to my furnaces, and I think this looked pretty nice. I did want to create like a gigantic super smelter soon. I was excited to do that. I've done it once before in like Survival World like 2 years ago, but I wanted to create a big one. Anyway, it was at this point where I decided I had enough logs to start the villager breeder, and then I went down to the dungeon area. I found this chest which, had all my iron and stuff and my bucket and some diamonds. I completely forgot that this chest existed. Whatever, man. I guess it was completely pointless for us to have went down in the mine earlier and gotten iron ore, but it's all right. Anyway, I started to really clear out this area and tried to boat these villagers so that they wouldn't move around too much. I'm gonna cut to a time lapse soon of me actually building this thing, and I just wanted to show you how I manage these villagers. So here's where I really started to make progress. I'm just going off of a YouTube tutorial for most of this, which called for like a little carrot farm in the middle here. I ended up just using the stairs for the walls of this farm. I liked the depth that these stairs added instead of using just like a basic flat, 2 regular block high wall. And then after this was created, I just went through and placed the carrots down and then turned one of the guys into a farmer. And then also we are going back in time here. This was during the time lapse, but I had a little bit of a disaster with these sheep when I was shearing them. Long story short, one of them got out and I had to send him to the Shadow Realm. Oh well, we're gonna have to have a funeral now. And then this was also during the time lapse. I placed down a bed and I didn't realize they would start a raid. This is going to be very important to remember here in just a moment that a raid was started. Not good. Not good at all, man. Oh my god. I did hear the raid horn thing go off, and I think that meant that they were just above me. I was terrified that somehow they would spawn like down here and they would kill my villagers. These are the only 2 I had, but luckily that did not happen. I also did kill the sheep while I was placing the carrots down. I don't know what I had against sheep today, but I guess we're just gonna have to hold 2 separate funerals now. God damn it. Anyway, I went back up to base after I finished placing those carrots, and the raid was stuck in my cow pen, which wasn't too great, but they weren't really shooting at me, so maybe they were like glitched or something. I started just killing them. I didn't realize that there would be multiple waves of a raid, by the way. I was completely out of my element here. I'd never fought a raid before, so I had, no idea what was going on. I thought there was only one wave or something because it was my first raid, but I went to sleep really quickly so that it would be daytime when I fought these guys because the second wave spawned here, and these guys were still pretty easy. I didn't really have any real trouble with the second wave. I even went back underground here to kind of finish up my villager breeder and place down my final couple beds here. And I did not want to start any more waves of this raid because I knew they were probably going to get pretty dangerous. But my villagers weren't breeding and they were trying to rush to the beds, and I thought that might have been because the raid was going on. So that did mean I would have to finish the entire raid before I could actually maybe make my villagers breed. I even made myself a diamond sword because I was ready to take this raid on. I did not realize at this point how hard these things actually got. I was like thinking it was going to be kind of easy. Found the last raider here after searching for a while, and then he just started like straight up running away from me. I legit had to chase this guy around this whole like chunk like 5 times to finally kill him. It was kind of crazy actually. This was wave 3 now, and I fought my first, like, whatever this guy was called, Ravager, I think, and he didn't really fight back yet. I think they were kind of glitched here at the earlier rounds for some reason. By nighttime, it was round 5, and this is when they decided not to be glitched anymore, and this whole thing started to become kind of impossible to manage. I started, like, actually dying, like, more than just once. I lost count how many times I died here. This thing was just over and over. It was not a good time. Okay, so after dying a grand total of 5 times so far, I finally just grabbed all my stuff this time, and I just straight up put it all in this chest because I did not want to lose any of the stuff. I had a feeling I would die way more times than just 5, and thank God I did, because I did end up dying way more than just 5 times. It was crazy. I actually just straight up ended up being spawn camped by the Ravager, and I just started punching it. I was like pissed off now. I didn't know what to do. I was like completely just fucked. My idea now was just to like push as many things off the edge as I could because I did not want to lose any more equipment. Then shortly after that, these Vexes started spawning, and then they started spawn camping me too because the Ravager fell off the side. The Ravager was still alive. He was just on the obsidian edge below me, and I thought he might have died, but I did not get that lucky. For some reason here, I decided to use a diamond axe to try to kill these guys, and I did end up just losing this. Like, I died at one of these times here, and it just fell off the edge, and I never saw that again. This was like the only good piece of equipment I lost though. Other than this, I was pretty fine still. Yeah, this death right here is when I lost it. I went back and it was gone. Oh well. I just started going in with stone tools after that because I did not want to lose any iron stuff either. I ended up fighting these guys all throughout the entire night. It was now sunrise, and I got a totem of undying here, which was pretty cool. I did ironically die with it, and I don't think I ended up actually getting it like when this fight was all over. I think it like despawned or something. So anyway, it was day 28 now, and I kept trying to fight this Ravager unsuccessfully. This was the last guy left I needed to kill before I was done, because the guy on his back counted as the second enemy alive, and there was 2 left. So then I had the bright idea to actually just use water to like try to make him fall off the edge, and this did end up actually working. You can see here that I just placed it, and then I just stood there, I baited him right into it, and he started kind of like floating away. It did take some finessing, and after like a few more hits, he hit me once. I somehow didn't die though. He finally fell off, and it was officially the end of this god-forsaken raid that took an entire day and night cycle, and then literally like half of day 28. That was ridiculous. I hope to never go through that pain again. The raiders also killed like half of all my cows and sheep by proximity too, so I had to repopulate. Other than that, the damage wasn't too bad, and I was fine. I didn't really gain anything anything from that either besides Hero the Village, but at least I was able to cook some of the steak that that I got. Anyway, my villagers still weren't breeding here, and I did not know why. I did build this farm in another world, and it also wasn't working in that other world. I had a theory it was because they didn't have access to the beds, so I wanted to redo the farm to make it so that they had access to the beds. Also, potentially it was because there was no like wooden doors they had access to, so I was gonna fix that too. So first thing I did was move all the beds over to a different side of the farm here. I added those wooden doors, and then I sort of was going around adding a bunch of detail because I wanted to stay in this general area so I could actually see if these villagers were ever gonna breed or not. And then also it was already day 30 when I finished that part of this area. And then like I said, since I wanted to stick in this area, I just started to work on some random stuff like clearing away that giant tower, opening up this room a little bit so I could detail it in the future. And then I do want to say that during those time lapses, I did notice the breeder was actually working. This was a massive deal that I had a working villager breeder. One of my very tippy top priorities was to make an iron farm, so I definitely needed a lot of villagers, and then obviously a villager trading hall soon as well. This was huge, great news. Anyway, it was day 31 now, and the first thing I wanted to do was get some wool from my sheep so that I could add a few more beds to the villager breeder. I wanted as many villagers crammed into that little area as possible so that moving them out would be a little bit easier. I added 4 more beds down total, and then I went back up to the base because I wanted to get rid of the pillager tower that was down near my villagers and then just replace it with like a ladder. And so I needed wood for the ladder, and then also I wanted the blocks the ladder was on, I wanted them to be logs. So I started on that here, and I didn't finish the whole thing. Like I didn't get rid of the entire tower yet. Working on this definitely made me realize how badly I wanted like an enchantment table to speed up my mining speed and stuff like that. And so we'll definitely get to building that enchantment table soon. I had enough materials for it, but in the meantime here, before I started on that process, I just moved the chest from the villager area up to here so that I wouldn't have to go down there every time. Didn't look too bad either, having a little setup here. And then also I did forget to mention it was already day 30 to pretty much use the rest of day 32 that I just showed you to prepare for day 33, which is when I wanted to do some major exploring down in the cave slash mine slash dungeon, whatever you want to call it. I did reach deep slate here. My goal was pretty much to like reach the bottom of this entire chunk. I wanted to see if there was the end portal down here, which there would have had to be. And I was really tired of not having like overpowered tools and stuff, so I just wanted to get this all done, and I wanted elytra. I finally reached the portal to the end here, and then I dropped right in, which was kind of a mistake, I'm not gonna lie. Did not realize just how many silverfish were here, and then lava started coming out of every corner, and I almost died. Actually, I think I did die here. I did have like a diamond sword and a diamond pickaxe on me, so I was pretty upset. I was really hoping not much burned in the lava. I was so pissed though, man, I'm not gonna lie. I just didn't expect to die from silverfish. It was kind of pathetic. I did go back down, and I would say half of my stuff got burned and half of it didn't. My diamond pickaxe was nowhere to be found, which was really unfortunate. This chest was stacked though. Then these stupid silverfish started spawning again, and I had to do some crazy parkour over the lava just to run away from them. It did take me an embarrassingly long time, but I realized I could just block up and then I would be fine. I just got out of there with the stuff that didn't burn for now. I was feeling super defeated though. I was like sad. I lost my pickaxe, and it wasn't a good trip, to be honest. The first thing I did when I got back up was make a new diamond pickaxe, and I was still mad, so I just went to sleep for the end of day 33. And I'm pretty sure here I was ready to just create a ladder straight down to that ender portal we were just at, because I was pretty tired of having to like take the staircase I made down every time. It wasn't that fast. So I just started collecting a ton of wood, getting ready to create that pathway just straight down to the portal. And I forgot here, I was additionally upset because I lost all my torches again, and those things were actually a pain to make, so that was freaking annoying. I had to mine more trees just to get more charcoal. I finally also finished mining away all these obsidian blocks with the portal that was spawned here when we started. I wanted to recreate this portal elsewhere, so we were ready to move it now. Anyway, let's get on with that ladder down to the ender portal right now. This ender portal was a lot deeper than like I originally thought, so this definitely took like a long time. And then also while I was digging this, I did find diamonds right here. So apparently there was just random diamonds in the ground, which was cool. And then I made it to the portal room here and I started fighting all these silverfish. They just came in waves. There were so many. It was also literally like day 35 when we finally did get down here. And I tried patching up this lava with this cobblestone, but even that cobblestone that I was placing was turning into silverfish, which I didn't even know that was possible. The only solution to like patch up this lava so it wouldn't keep flowing towards me was to use dirt, which means I would actually have to go like back up to the surface and get dirt. But I figured that out in a minute here. These dudes could literally climb up ladders too, which was actually insane. I have no words, bro. I literally just gave up for now until I had more dirt in my inventory, but this ladder ride up was still taking like an insanely long time, but it was a lot faster than the staircase I was using before, so I'll take it for now, and it looked nice. Anyway, it was day 36 now, and I started this day off by collecting a ton of wood for another project. You know how earlier I said the bottom of this platform was ugly? I started an attempt to like fix it up a little bit. I did like an outline with the wood logs, and I didn't make too much progress on it because I realized it would be a lot easier to do with like elytra or something, so I wanted to start making progress towards killing the ender dragon, which meant I needed to go to the nether for blaze rods so I can make the ender crystals. It was day 37 now, by the way, and I realized here that I would need fireworks to go with the elytra, which meant I needed a creeper farm, which meant I needed to create a classic skyblock mob spawner, and I decided to create it right below the platform that we just outlined right here, but we would go to the nether first before I started making that. I also did want to be very prepared for the nether, so I used up a lot of the rest of my diamonds to finally create a full set of diamond armor. Anyway, it was day 38 now, and while I was looking for a good place for this nether portal, I noticed we had our first iron golem spawn in the villager breeder. Also, we were starting to have an unmanageable amount of villagers down here, which was a good thing. The more the merrier. Anyway, I found a good spot for the portal, and then I went right in. Now, I had assumed that the nether was just a regular world, but I was completely wrong. This was also a one chunk world. I'm not complaining though. I even had to look off the edge to double check. This would make my life a lot easier instead of having to explore an entire nether, so I was happy. Blazes were also like right below me too, which is literally all I needed from the nether, so that made my life like super easy. The blazes were doing like a ton of damage though, so I did need to go back to base for a minute and go get my steak so that I could recover health faster. I was honestly terrified that I would die here. With the steaks, these guys were super easy to kill. And then within only a few short minutes, I was already ready to go home. I had enough blaze rods at this point, and I was expecting this trip to take like days, so I was super happy that we could make this progress a bit faster. Then when I got home, I created a bow for the ender dragon. Then I realized I would really need arrows, so that monster spawner that I mentioned earlier would now become a top priority. This was literally all my cobblestone I had, and I was ready to start the spawner on day 39. Then I also did kill the iron golem because I was in desperate need for iron at this point for my tools. Then after that, I finally started construction on this monster spawner. I'm sure you guys have seen this be built before, so I kind of sped this time lapse up pretty fast. I eventually did actually run out of cobblestone here, so I would need to like farm it for a little bit. But during construction of this, a zombie did come up from the cave that my villagers were in. Luckily enough though, all my villagers were fine, and I kind of regretted killing that iron golem now. I just ended up putting trapdoors blocking the floor they were on so that they would be fine now. I didn't have to worry. Anyway, back to the monster spawner. I mined a ton more cobblestone because I was out, and then I went back and added on to the spawner, went back and mined more cobblestone. I needed so much cobble for this project. It was actually kind of crazy. Instead of a cobble generator, I just wanted to mine all this stuff because making the hole bigger was cool. And then I added the roof, I did up the inside, and then I was pretty much done at this point with the spawner. After all that, it was day 43 and I needed a quick break, so I took a minute to cut down a ton of trees and do some like you know, mild repairs to this tree platform. There was just some fences that were missing and some blocks that were missing. It wasn't much, so there was no need to time lapse it. But yeah, I also made some ladders so I could get to the bottom of the monster spawner easily. Then I did farm this thing for a minute here. There was like a couple issues with it. Otherwise, it was working really nicely. Like the creepers would blow up still. So I did end up like having to change the base around here, like the part where I actually hit the monsters. I changed that around. I messed with it a little bit. Also, some of the monsters were just dying straight up when they hit the ground instead of being like one hit, which I mean, I guess I was okay with, to be honest. It wasn't that huge of a deal, and I was too lazy to try to fix that. Then on day 44 here, I was still farming up monsters, and as I was doing that, I was going around the outside of this platform and just outlining it with logs, giving it a little bit more of a nice design, making it fit in with the rest of the base. Soon here, we'll have to actually like outline this entire monster spawner with logs and make it fit in with the tree platform that we had so far. And then also after 44 days, I finally placed down that sugarcane that we found at the beginning. I wanted to make a sugarcane farm, like an automatic one, but I didn't have any redstone. I didn't know where to find any, so I couldn't. So yeah, this monster spawner was insanely ugly and it definitely needed a nice facelift. So that's exactly what we began doing here. I had to cut down so many trees to make this project possible. Originally, this was just supposed to be for my automatic sugarcane farm, but then I realized I didn't have any redstone, as I mentioned earlier. But this build for now came out looking pretty nice. I would definitely add a lot to it once I actually had elytra to fly up to the ceiling. Also, while building this, my iron axes kept breaking. I was like dangerously low on iron now, man. I really needed to set up an iron farm. Anyway, it was already day 47 now when I finished building the part that you just watched, and I did end up running out of logs, even though I did cut down a bunch of trees, so I needed to cut down more, but it was okay. Cutting down trees is honestly kind of therapeutic, I'm not even gonna lie. I went back to build after that, and I wasn't super happy with how this middle part turned out, so we'll be back soon to actually fix it, because I had to stop building because I fell off this platform, and then I decided to just jump on my bridge to my monster spawners straight up. Like, you know how I made that full set of diamond armor to fight the ender dragon later? Well, I lost the pants and the helmet, and yeah, I was not even sure if there was enough diamonds in this world to actually upgrade my gear to full netherite later. I was kind of, I was more than kind of upset at this. I had to take a break for a minute. Anyway, it was day 48 now, and there was a witch in my monster spawner. I think this meant we were in like a swamp biome or something. I don't think those can just regularly spawn, but I might be wrong. Anyway, we were on the hunt for iron now because I was like completely out, and I wanted to recreate some iron armor so that I could actually have a full set of, armor, that was important. I also did finally loot that chest near the ender portal, which was cool. I was trying to get my diamonds back any way I could. Also, this ladder ride up to my base I think takes like a full like 2 to 2.5 minutes every single time. I needed to go to the nether for magma blocks. The water elevator would be much more efficient than this. And then I did actually get enough iron to replace my helmet and my leggings, which was good. Then after that, I wanted to expand my cow farm because these guys were crowded way too tightly, and it was kind of getting annoying to try to feed them correctly. They kept hugging the side of the fence that was closest to the mountain though, which was kind of annoying. I even did try like killing a bunch of these guys to try to fix the fence hugging issue, but nothing was really working. Anyway, it was day 50 now, and my new goal was to get obsidian for an enchanting table. I knew I had extra obsidian somewhere, but I couldn't find it, so I would just have to create my own. So I just went down to the end portal to get some lava. Then I accidentally fell off this ladder and it died while trying to bring it up back to base. None of my stuff burned or anything, even though there was lava down here, so that was nice. Anyway, I had no idea how to make obsidian, so the next 10 or 15 minutes was me trying to make obsidian, and I kept making cobblestone and stone. I completely forgot I had an entire lava lake in the nether full of, lava source blocks. So the reason it took so long is because I was afraid of destroying the lava source block, because again, I forgot that I had unlimited lava. I literally thought the only lava I would have access to this entire playthrough was the lava in the end portal room, but I'm an idiot. Anyway, I finally gathered all the obsidian I would need. Then finally, on day 51, I created the first enchanting table of this world so far. But before I placed it down, this cow farm was bugging me. It looked like trash, so I went through and I fixed it up a little bit. Then I finally placed down the enchanting table, and I was ready to use it on all my armor, my sword, all of that good stuff. And by the way, remember guys, this was all to prepare for fighting the ender dragon. I mentioned it earlier, but I did really want to speed run getting elytra, mainly because it would just straight up help me with building, honestly, since everything, the void was so easy to fall into. I farmed some XP levels here. I also really needed arrows for that ender dragon fight. And then I finished up enchanting everything here. I didn't really get anything worth showing. It was all just basic enchantments. Besides, like, feather falling 2 was pretty good on my boots. Anyway, I completely forgot to enchant my bow while I was doing this, and I was also simultaneously out of lapis, so I would need to get more before I was to enchant it. I can't believe I forgot, like, the number one thing I wanted to enchant. Then pretty much right away here, we had another near-death experience when I first started looking for the lapis, but I did find a bunch of diamonds right away after that, so it was all good. Then also in the middle of my search for lapis, I did light up the Nether portal. I looked into it for a little bit, looked pretty cool, and then I got right back to it. And then I actually just finally gave up looking for the lapis. I literally searched for, quite a long time, and I just couldn't find any, so I guess we were gonna fight the dragon without an enchanted bow. Then I farmed up a bit more arrows for the fight, and then by day 53, I was ready to go. This was my inventory going into the fight, so I was pretty confident in myself. So I jumped right into the portal, and I let the fun begin. I spawned underground, so I just had to dig up, but it wasn't that deep underground, thank God. I took this fight pretty slow, and I just eliminated all the crystals before, like, actually going for the dragon. I did end up having a few issues with the enderman while I was trying to fight this thing. It was kind of annoying. Then while still going for the crystals, I did get bumped off this tower, and I had a pretty insane save here, not gonna lie. Then after quite a while, I did kill all the crystals, and I started trying to hit this thing. I did try using the beds that I brought here, and I couldn't really figure it out. I just ended up blowing myself up. Then finally here on day 54, I did eliminate the ender dragon, and we got loads of XP, and that meant that we could finally explore the end to get my elytra. Yay, let's go. I made it to the end portal thingy that leads you to the end cities, and I completely forgot that I could have just placed my water bucket down and swam into this thing, so I started just nether pearling into it, which, it was successful, but I did waste like 3 nether pearls. Then here on day 55, I went back to base for a second because I was low on food and I needed a bunch of carrots, but I wasn't going to stay home for long. I really wanted that elytra, so this was just a temporary pit stop. So we went back through the end portal in the end and then started our search for an end city, which involved a lot of bridging over the void, which is my least favorite thing to do. Then I wasn't originally having any luck at all finding an end city, but pretty much immediately upon turning my render distance up, I just looked around for like 1 second, and then I ended up just finding a end city right in front of me, which was pretty great. So now the only problem was I had to get to it, and there was a whole lot of void in between me and the end city. I did finally make it though here, and I did not realize how difficult these shulker things would be because I had like no arrows left in my bow, and these guys were like almost impossible to melee. And then I found my first end city chest here, but I was very disappointed with the content. I thought there would be more, but I knew there was more chests, so I had to explore a little bit. Also, I forgot to mention, but there was a pirate ship in this city, so there was elytra here, and I would get to it eventually. And while I was getting spammed like crazy with these projectiles, my strategy was just to place down a water bucket, and then eventually when they stopped shooting me, I would just land into it. It was so tedious. But honestly, the chest started to get a lot better, and it made it all worth it. Like 7 diamonds, decent armor. So then, after quite a long period of time, I did finally make it over to the pirate ship here on day 57. After I killed that shulker guy, I checked the chest, unbreaking 2 mending pickaxe, I got some diamonds, and yes, finally the elytra that I did end up coming here for was available to me. So then I had to go and try and find my way home, which was honestly an entire other challenge, but we did the hard part, so we're good. So I got back to the portal to get home, and I ran out of ender pearls, and this is right before I figured out I could just place my water bucket and swim in the portal. So I took like 5 or 10 minutes just killing endermen because I didn't realize I could swim into it yet. It was not great, not my best moment. Then I finally got home on day 58 with a new pickaxe with mending on it. I got my elytra. The rest of the armor and diamonds and stuff were in my ender chest, so I had of extras here at home though. I just needed to place it. Then I just transferred most all my loot into the ender chest because why not? I even had an extra one, so that was cool. I think overall that was a very successful trip to the end, especially considering we literally got a ender pirate ship on my first end city, which is so incredibly lucky. We were even finally able to have the luxury of a diamond axe. You guys know how many trees I cut down. This was an absolute godsend. So the next thing I needed to accomplish was starting on the villager trading hall so I can get like god enchants and stuff like that, which meant I needed a lot of wood because obviously I needed to like design it and build it. Also, it needed to be like way far away from my villager breeder, so that was going to be extremely annoying to try to figure out. I did spend like half of day 59 here just breaking gravel and over again to try to get flint because I needed enough for a fletching table. In fact, I wanted multiple, so I had to break like 8 pieces of gravel to try to get 8 flint, you know. Then I did realize we would need this entire space clear above our villager breeder so that we could easily transfer villagers out and into a trading hall. Anyway, we finished doing all that by day 60, and so the reason I couldn't just make the villager trading hall in that little space we just cleared out is because the villager trading hall had to be like a decent amount of blocks away from the actual breeder in order for the breeder to continue working without any issue. I was kind of freaking out though because I literally had no idea how I was going to transport the villagers out. I did want like a clean workspace to figure all that out in, so I finished building this ladder up to the surface. I did a little terraforming. This ladder came out looking pretty nice, and we're going to add so much more detail later. Just you wait. After that project was done, it was day 61, and I moved all the chests from the middle of this room over to the edge of the room over here. It made this room feel a lot less cluttered and clean to work in. I went back up to the top of the monster spawner we made to work on that little middle section a little bit. I only could work on that very briefly though because I kept running out of wood, so I spent quite a long time just cutting down trees. So now that I had more wood, I could go and work on some projects that I wanted to do. The first one was completely redoing this area near the cow and the sheep farm. I even did terraforming here, and then this area came out so beautiful. I was incredibly happy with it. So after completing that first project, it was already back to getting wood, and also it was already day 63 too, the end of day 63. That area we just completed definitely took a little bit of time, but it was definitely worth it. I even decided to get a bunch of utility out of this area and put my bed down here, and I went right to sleep. Then on day 64, I finally went and finished up this middle part, but then I had to figure out how the hell I was supposed to get these villagers out of this area and up to the floors above this area. My only idea was to like make a staircase up to the floor above and then flood it with water and maybe boat them up, but yeah, it's not the best idea, but it's the only one that would work, I think. I really did not have enough iron or anything for rails, so the boats were the only thing I had. So anyway, I started here with just building the staircase up and adding some safeguards to it. Natural next step was to work on the villager trading center bridge. This bridge was 128 blocks long, which is insanely long. That's what she said. And then I also worked on some terraforming stuff down here. Probably gonna make this into like a little cliff base in the future. And then we're going back in time here. This was during the time lapse, but to get more logs, I was literally having to bone meal saplings because my trees were not growing fast enough. This was definitely a struggle. I also made a separate chest down here to store all my stuff while I was building the bridge. I was terrified of dying while building it. And one more thing, our diamond stash was dwindling pretty low because I was having to make new tools and then replacements for those tools. So I definitely saw another trip to another end city in our near future. But anyway, I went back to building here, and I'm not going to show you every single block I placed for this bridge because it was quite repetitive, but by the time we were done with this time lapse, it was literally already day 71. But I did have this insane near-death experience on day 69, and of course I had to include day 69 here because, you know, it was fully necessary, I think. But yeah, let me tell you, this bridge did look pretty sick from above so far. I was happy with the progress we were making. Also, let me tell you my idea to make it look awesome. See where those dirt blocks are on the side? I'm gonna plant saplings there and just grow trees all along either side of the bridge to like make it look I don't know, fancy. It's going to be so sick though. So here we go back to bridge building on day 71 through like day 73. We pretty much finished the top part of the bridge here, but there was still like a lot of stuff I did not like about this bridge. Like the trees were way too close together and of different heights, so I wanted to go and fix that. Instead of having a tree every 4 blocks, I would have one every 8 blocks. And then also I still needed to add some sort of light source to this bridge because it was really dark at night and mobs would spawn in. We did not want that. That would be not a good thing. And then also, this is unrelated, but I kept falling down this ladder like every 2 seconds. My entire base needed a large overhaul, and I'm not sure if 100 days is long enough to be able to get to all that. And honestly, if this video gets like a lot of views, you know, I'm totally fine with doing like a 1000 days on this world. We'll see how it does though. And then of course I was back to bridge building, but this time was a little different. Something pretty awful ended up happening to me right at the end here. While I was working on the other end of the bridge, I decided it would be a fun idea to jump into the void. I did try to save myself with these ender pearls, but that obviously did not work, and I died just like that. Now this was kind of a huge deal because I literally only had 4 diamonds extra in my, in my possession, plus whatever was in my ender chest, which is just, some armor. It's not that much. So you remember how I said we would need to go back to end cities eventually? Well, eventually was now because of what just happened. So I was gearing up for that next. But there was one very fortunate thing about this entire ordeal. It was the fact that I kept my elytra in a chest instead of in my inventory. So that meant we could just fly around the end instead of having to bridge over everything. I was actually like stoked that I didn't make that mistake. I killed all these monsters down here to get some arrows to prepare. Killed a bunch of my cows to get some steak, some good food that would keep me alive. Made myself a diamond sword. Then I even flew around my base a little bit to test out these elytra. By the way, guys, I had no idea how elytra worked. This would become a very important thing to remember here in the near future. But then here on day 76, I was finally ready to go find some end cities. Let's go. I did find my first like ender city tower here on day 77. And I was turning up my render distance all the way to find these things. So just give me a minute here. This first chest was pretty fucking amazing, to be honest, and the second one wasn't bad either. I was really happy with these. Next thing I found was an exit portal, and I kept track of the coordinates of this exit portal. Reason I'm mentioning this is because it would be important to remember that fact again here in the near future. Now, this part was insane. I was flying around shortly after finding that exit portal, and I found 2 end cities with ships on both of the end cities. So I can't stress enough to you guys how rare this actually is. The bridges leading to the pirate ships have a 50% chance of spawning, and the pirate ships themselves have a 12.5% chance of spawning after the bridges spawn. So yeah, I got unbelievably lucky finding 2 of them right next to each other, and the chests were not half bad either. The second one here just had a bunch of diamond armor and a good shovel. So now I had 2 pairs of elytra and was about to have 3. I did find some other chests in this end city, and there was nothing like too amazing. There was some iron though that was actually pretty useful. And then I didn't find anything else in that end city worth mentioning, so I just flew to the other pirate ship, and these chests were stacked. It was, oh my god, such a great feeling. There were also some chests in the end city area, and again, nothing too good. I mean, there was some emeralds. And then my luck did have to run out here eventually. I couldn't just have a good, end trip where everything went fine. Remember how I said I didn't know how elytra worked? Well, that's why I died. And then also the only coordinates I had to try to get my stuff back was that portal, that exit portal that I found earlier, if you remember. So I had to go back completely ungeared because I lost all my elytra that I had in my inventory. And then I had to go and try to bridge all the way back to the exit portal, and then from there pretty much search blindly for the spot I died died at. I was so sad in this moment. You have no idea. And then I didn't bring any armor or food back when I searched for my stuff, and somehow I got sniped all the way from over there. Like, I don't even know how that's possible. And I didn't bring any food either, again, because I was in a rush and I wasn't even thinking straight. So I died again on my first attempt to get all my stuff back. So I had to go back, and I got a little bit more prepared this time. This was literally the last of all my armor and all my, pickaxes and all my items. So if this second attempt didn't work, I don't know if we would ever be able to get my stuff back. And considering there were no diamonds left in the mines, I don't even know how anything would be possible. So yeah, let's hope this attempt actually works and I can find all my shit. I did end up making it back to the exit portal near the two cities on day 78, but I definitely underestimated just how far these cities were away from this exit portal, and I could not see them by turning my render distance up, which I thought I would be able to. So I literally had to just like guess which direction these cities were in, and my sense of direction is awful. So I was kind of like hopeless right now. Part of me was just hoping that I would stumble upon a different city and then just have, just kind of restart my end city journey from there. But I just took my best estimate and decided it was somewhere this way. So I started bridging towards this way, which, fingers crossed. Then somehow miraculously, we found one of the two cities, and I assumed this one was the one I died at because I still saw water over there. And I was keeping my render distance way down because as soon as your stuff is rendered in, it decides it wants to despawn after 5 minutes. And then at this moment, I saw some XP on the ground, and I was searching all around for my stuff, and I couldn't find it. I had a 50-50 chance of this being the correct city that I died at, and this was not the one. I explored it pretty thoroughly, and I couldn't find any of my stuff, so it was the other city that was next door that had all my stuff at it. Anyway, I saw the other city all the way over there, and I knew that's where my stuff would have to be, so I was on my way over there. And then here on day 79, we finally found my stuff. It was spread like around everywhere, so we did have to like explore around a bunch to actually collect it all. But if you would have asked me to take a bet versus, finding my stuff versus not finding it, I would have said that I would have never been able to find it just from knowing the coordinates of an exit portal that was near these cities. I wouldn't have thought it would be possible, and it was possible, and I was so hyped. I just returned home immediately after that to stash all my stuff because I was not about to go through another death out there. I felt so safe, but it was already day 80. We spent a long time in the end, I'm not gonna lie. And to celebrate my 3 new elytra, I just took a joyride around my base. I got some good views of it. It looked pretty nice. I definitely think I did want to redo the trees over on the bridge, though. They were still kind of looking messy, but other than that, the base was actually coming along. Anyway, just so you guys know, I just finished recording these 10 days. How I do this is like every 10 days, I stop, I save the recording, and then I edit the 10 days. And the next 10 days are very disastrous, and I'm honestly pretty disheartened over this. And I'll take you on this journey for this next 10 days. It's going to be pretty interesting. But here on day 61, I started by getting a ton of wood so that I could figure out a way to transport all the villagers from the breeder to the end of the bridge that we made, which has been like our goal for the last 15-20 days. But, we're finally starting to make progress on it now. The first thing I did here on day 62 after cutting a bunch of trees down was just expand this platform at the end of the bridge just so that, I would have some space for these villagers to be, even if they were just going to be in boats for now, which was my plan. So I tried to get the boats actually up the staircase we made, and I even expanded the staircase by 1 because there wasn't enough space, and it still wasn't working. So I just gave up on the boat idea and decided to use rails, but there was a couple problems with using rails. The major one was just the resources. We did not have enough iron, and we also did not have enough gold for that. Now, in hindsight, I think I should have just created an iron farm above the villager breeder and then just added a bunch of beds so that the villager breeder wouldn't break. But that's not what I ended up deciding to do. I decided to actually go to the end again, unfortunately. And I'm going to skip through most of that because you just saw me in the end for a while, and I don't want, latter half of this video just to be, 20% of me and, looking for end cities. Then there was one more problem, which was the redstone. I didn't have any redstone, and I didn't know how to get it in this one chunk world. And my first plan was just to go mining for it. But before I went mining for the iron, I wanted to check the nether for gold. I was maybe looking for like a dungeon with like a chest in it, but I flew around a lot and I just didn't really see anything interesting besides that blaze spawner, which I already knew that was there. And then after finding nothing, I had convinced myself that maybe there was like nether out far away from the chunk in the middle. I only flew out like a little bit, but then I got scared and I had to return back home. Also, there was a villager up here by the portal, and he was not supposed to be here, so I had to block him in to keep him from jumping off the edge. After finding nothing, I was actually pretty desperate here to get this project started, so I started strip mining, which I hate doing. I actually did this for quite a while, and the whole thing was unsuccessful. I didn't find any redstone. I did find some iron, though, at the very end. I did end up with 22 iron by the end of that mining trip, which I guess isn't too bad. I did come out of that with a solution for the redstone, though. Apparently you could just make a cleric and you get the trade for an emerald, so that was like huge progress. And then also, you already know I had a lot of rotten flesh because of my monster spawner, so that was an easy way to get emeralds, at least at the start here. After that, I did try to get one of my villagers to turn into a Fletcher so that I could trade sticks for emeralds, which would be another easy way to get the redstone, and none of them were taking the job. I have no idea why. If someone could leave like a comment explaining it, that would be nice. I even tried putting it like in the farm and it still wasn't working, but yeah, very, very strange. I was trading with the cleric some more, and I realized here that I could also get a lapis from the cleric, which is amazing. I really, really needed that. My enchantment table would no longer be completely useless. So after that, I finally started placing these rails all the way up the staircase we made that, again, was originally meant for a boat. And then just a refresher, this was the staircase I time-lapsed earlier that led all the way up to the start of the bridge that we made. We almost had enough rails here, but the fact that we did mean that we would have to go back to the end, as I mentioned earlier, for the iron and the gold. Also, I cannot stress to you enough how hard it is to work with villagers. This guy kept dodging the boat I was trying to get him in. He was blocking the path I needed to make my rails go up on, and instead he would just hop up on the ledge here and threaten to jump off to his death. It was extremely satisfying, though, here on day 86 to finally get him in the boat and unable to move or hurt himself. Then, very shortly after that, he got his revenge by forcing me to fall into the void and completely screw up on saving myself. This just meant that I got really mad and decided to speed up the trip to the end. I would go now instead of working on anything else because I wanted to replace all my gear. So I was all geared up now and flying very quickly through the end. You guys just watched me do this, so I'm going to skip through most of this part, as I said earlier, and we'll just get to the good parts. The first good part was finding a end city with a pirate ship and then another end city right next to it. The chests were honestly pretty incredible too. A ton of diamonds, good enchanted stuff. I was pretty happy with that. Then I got extremely lucky and found the best pickaxe that you could find naturally just spawning in one of the chests. This is an insane find. Like, after I explored those two cities, I found this third city after flying like a pretty far, length away. This is where the first huge disaster happens. I thought I had my elytra equipped. I did not, and I died very far away from any portal that I could come through. And of course, you already know it, I had to go get my stuff, and I made sure I was completely stacked before going back into the end to get it. What I did was watch the video that I had just recorded of me in the end to figure out which way I went, because I did not keep track of coordinates at all when I went on my last journey just now. I was 100% sure I wasn't going to die. Then on day 88, I was back in the end, and I was out for blood. I was so tired of this dimension bullying me. I was about to make such a valiant rescue and get all my stuff and return safely home like the god I am. That's right, I'm saying it. So I was retracing my steps as to where I went before I died last, and I saw the pirate ship city that we were at that I showed you guys, and then I noticed something interesting. There was actually another pirate ship city right next to it that I didn't see last go around. That meant that there were elytra in that pirate ship because I hadn't touched it. So we'd at least be able to block up way high and, you know, hover and kind of fly a little bit, and that was going to be super useful. So I made my way into the ship and I gathered all the stuff that was in the chest and I got the elytra. Now, the rather unfortunate thing that I learned as I watched the recording of exactly where I went before I died was that the city that I actually died at was quite a ways away from where I was now. So this was gonna be another long journey, but I did finally get all of my stuff here on day 89 and nothing fell off the edge. I was so happy. You have no idea. Always such a good feeling getting what you lost. That being said, this would lead us right into our next disaster of these 10 days. The major issue was I had no idea where an exit portal was located at. I had a screenshot of one, but it was like on the opposite end of the end as to where I am now, literally like 4,000 blocks away. And I decided, maybe stupidly, that I would just go for that exit portal because I didn't know where another one was. Like I said, I only had 56 firework rockets though, and to go that distance, not sure if that would be enough. It ended up not being enough rockets, and I ran out just as I ran into this giant void here. I was about 2,500 blocks away from where I needed to be still, and the path forward was right through the void. So to make sure I didn't die, I built all the way up to height limit, and I used up every single remaining block that I had to try to build towards the exit portal. And I really don't think I even believe what happened next. I didn't have my elytra equipped when I jumped off, and I just, you know, I equipped it kind of here at the last second. I hovered a little bit. I searched desperately for chorus fruit in my inventory, but I couldn't find it. Apparently I had just thrown it away or something. So I tried to nether pearl back up, and it wasn't happening. Like I even quit to title because I was like, oh my God, what is going on? I loaded back in the game and I just let it happen. So now I spawned back in, and it's been, you know, a day since this happened in my life, like in real life. So I was kind of over it and I was ready to just get back into it. My new plan was just to like focus heavy on creating an iron farm and creating like an actual renewable source of resources. So we'd be working on some farms next, and yeah, we'll get to that right now. And one more thing, I really don't think I'll be going back to the end anytime soon. It's just not worth it. There's a lot of stuff there, but I just can't stop myself from dying there for some reason, and I have no idea why at this point. I started day 91 out here with just breaking all the rails I placed. I would need them for the iron farm, being able to move all the villagers into the spots they needed to be in. I did need to go mining though, because I needed iron for a toolsmith block and a minecart, but it turns out you can't actually buy iron from the toolsmith. You can only sell him iron, and I thought I could buy it for some reason, but it's okay. I still needed iron for, like I said, the minecart and various other reasons. It actually took me quite a long time to find this little bit of iron. I'm pretty sure this entire world was like out of resources. I was just out of luck in that area. So I made the weaponsmith station and I placed it, and then I realized here that one of my villagers actually did turn into a Fletcher, which is exactly what I wanted. That was a big deal because now I could sell sticks for emeralds and then buy redstone with the emeralds to make powered rails of stuff like that. It took me 92 days, but I finally did my first real round of villager trading and leveled some of these guys up. Man, this felt good. It was a long time coming. After that, I decided I needed wood for the iron farm, and expanded my tree farm because I did not have enough trees out in this area for it to be like super quick. Then before I knew it, it was already day 95. Like I said earlier, these days go by so fast when I'm doing the time lapses. But anyway, I decided here that I needed a librarian because I needed glass for the iron farm, and you could get glass from trading a librarian. But this made me also decide to expand my sugarcane farm like a lot. I wanted to actually build its own area for it over here, and apparently I was in the mood for building because I ended up like for the next 6 days just building the entire time. So most of this is going to be a time lapse coming up. But before we start the time lapses, I wanted to show you a quick death just at the beginning here, which was pretty great. I was honestly not even worried about these deaths anymore because we were going to have the villager trading up soon, and it just didn't matter anymore because I was going to be able to buy like the best enchants, you know, here soon. It wasn't a big deal. So I went back to building here, and this is where I am creating the sugarcane farm. This farm came out super pretty. In fact, I didn't just want to stop building there. As I said earlier, we literally spent like the entire rest of the days just building, and all this came out looking really amazing. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's building, and if there's one thing I'm bad at, it is exploring the end. We even did up like the underside of the tree farm a little bit. You know, that definitely needed a lot of work still. I didn't do like too much down here, but we'll definitely come back to it when I'm actually ready to complete building this world, which I mean, I like building. So, but yeah, guys, that was it. It was day 101 at this point, and I did want to do a quick run around of my base without all the HUD, you know, just blocking everything. All I gotta say about that last 100 days is that was quite eventful. Every second was filled with us doing something. I died more times than I could count, though. That was definitely the bad part. But we did create something pretty special here, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to leave a like and make sure to subscribe. It really helps me out if you enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it, and I just wanted to do a last quick run through of all the areas we worked on. The villager breeder was in pretty dire shape. We definitely needed to, you know, remodel this area next video. And then of course, how could I forget the beginning to the end, quite literally and figuratively, my end portal ladder down. This place was my detriment, but it is what it is. And yeah, again, but goodbye.